Hey guys, so welcome back to Shanghai Motor Show 2025. We're here with MINI Automotive guest, and we have a new head of design, Holger Hampf. You might know him by now. He's been around the BMW group for quite some time, design works, UI, UX projects, and all of that. So welcome to the MINI brand. Welcome back to Shanghai. Lots of products to talk about. I'm gonna let you take this one and tell me why we're here today.
Thank you, Horacio. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Happy to be back in Shanghai. I think it's a great presence and return of MINI here in Shanghai. I love the booth. You know, we talked about the overall kind of show yesterday, and I'm very pleased to see MINI with this size of a booth and with this number of cars here in Shanghai. It's really a nice portfolio. Obviously a focus on John Cooper Works, seeing the full portfolio here for the first time in China. But we've also brought a lot of other cars, which we'll talk about. But just generally, I love the setup. I love the depth of the booth and how we set up the cars. I think it explains the brand and the portfolio very well.
And you can see the racing heritage right there, right?
Yes,
I mean,
yeah.
iconic MINI Cooper from the Monte Carlo Rally. Then you have the Nürburgring winner as well, which there will be a follow-up to that very soon. So there's a lot to talk about. So maybe let's start with the JCW portfolio and tell me a little bit about the synergy between the products and how these ideas came to life a few years ago when they were conceived.
Yes, absolutely. Well, obviously, the Cooper will always be the one product that people think of when they say MINI. This is just burned into people's mind, I think, as MINI. But obviously, left and right of it, we have the Aceman and we have the Countryman, also in the John Cooper Works version. And with the Cooper as the anchor, we're trying to kind of spread the portfolio and also the John Cooper Works message and see that the application of John Cooper Works, the racy version of MINI, is possible in other products as well. So yeah, we're very pleased with this setup, all three products in John Cooper Works livery and setup as well.
So let me ask you this. Let's assume that I'm a first-time MINI customer when I come to you. How would you describe each car to a new customer? Like, why would I get the Cooper JCW versus the Aceman versus the Countryman? How would you define these personas?
Very good question. I think, you know, it's all about what you want to do with the car and what you want to express with the car. It's about character. MINI is a character car. It's very recognizable. People will always spot it in traffic. And obviously, all three cars have a very different character expression, I would say. With the Cooper, it's clear, our typical three-door hatch, and this is what people think of when they say go-kart driving performance and so on. But I think the Aceman and also the Countryman, they do so many other things as well. You know, we are entering kind of a smaller crossover feel, still very racy and sporty, but a car that can fit for a person and two people and a dog. It can fit some luggage. It is good for your outdoor adventures and so on. So I think on one hand, you have the John Cooper Works expression and the character, but you have a lot more functionality to the car. And even more so with the Countryman, which is our largest product in the portfolio. I would say this is the first car that can really serve in a family very well as your first and maybe also only MINI. Before that, MINI was always only the second or the third car in the family. I think the Countryman really does that well. But the combination of JCW aesthetics and also expression plus functionality of a small SUV kind of really works well for us.
How do you keep this balance with all these products? Because now you're spreading them quite apart, basically.
I mean, it's always a challenge how to expand the brand and how to create different characters within a fairly small portfolio. We only have the three cars plus the convertible, obviously. And with the MINI Cooper always as the nucleus, you're trying to kind of create a satellite system around it. And you say kind of, how far can I stretch the brand? Can I go smaller? Can I go larger? And you really see this kind of plan here at the show quite visibly, you know, with the Aceman somewhat as a new proposition by MINI, a new form factor, this small, capable, also a little more rugged car. I think we are suggesting something new to the MINI audience. The Countryman was there before, but obviously it has grown in size and it can do so much more things. So we're really kind of trying to show what you can do with a small portfolio. Obviously, this is only the John Cooper Works character. When you walk around the booth, you see kind of different expressions that kind of speak more to the lifestyle segment, to people kind of living in urban environments and cities, but also a more heritage feel to MINI. People always ask us about the Britishness of MINI, the British racing green and so on. And, you know, so we are trying to kind of spread the character range of MINI, and I think we achieved that very well.
And honestly, you mentioned British. I mean, this car looks more British than ever before. I've said it when I saw the car for the first time, it does look a little bit like a Rover, like a Range, and that's a good thing because, you know, it has these proportions of a proper, you know, British car, I would say. So what was the feedback that you've heard from customers in terms of the Countryman? Because the thing that I've seen before was, you know, we loved the previous Countryman. It was great to drive and all of that, but it wasn't big enough. Is that something that you can relate to?
Absolutely. You know, it's funny that you ask, because the customer feedback is really that people compare the Countryman with very different cars from what MINI was compared to before. Before, MINI was only to be compared in the small car segment, and cars with a certain footprint and also a certain interior space and so on. And all of a sudden, with the new Countryman, we are compared to larger vehicles, other SUVs, and also cars that come at a much higher price point. Yeah. And that is very interesting, that we are offering this kind of small, capable SUV that is still a very urban proposition, and people can be very happy with it without buying into a much larger or much more expensive SUV segment.
Gotcha. So now let's focus maybe like on the core. That's a little bit exciting, even when you look at it. Are there any design elements that you would say people should pay attention to, or something that the design team is proud of, or things that you've implemented and maybe they're not visible to the naked eye immediately?
Well, first of all, obviously, this is one of the biggest design jumps and design changes in language we've done since a long time with MINI. Everyone knows the original MINI from '59, and people fell in love with it, obviously. And from there, BMW expanded into a new character of the Cooper. And we've had many generations of success, but this generation really is a big change in design language. It is something we call charismatic simplicity. So it's taking elements from the original MINI and it's translating into the modern age. So when it comes to digital features, the new OLED display, for example, inside the car, they remind you of the original MINI. It still has the same number of elements, like the OLED central display, the toggle bar, the steering wheel, and obviously on the exterior, the typical signature, the recognizability in the front. But everything looks so much more modern and cleaner and refined. And I think this is what is very necessary to bring MINI forward as a brand as well.
I'm going to give you one feedback, because I just drove this car, and the one thing that I saw in the comments was like, why is there a single pipe there, but there is one hidden underneath? Was this purely a styling decision? People still miss the dual pipes.
I've heard this as well, and again, there is definitely some accessorization that can be done. However, I like the single pipe. As a matter of fact, it's the biggest pipe in the BMW portfolio. So, yeah, no, I like the cleanliness of the rear of the car as well. We've had probably the most discussions around the rear of the car, because it changed the most from previous generations, the taillights and so on. And we kept the British flag, the Union Jack signature, but we toned it down a bit. It's more subtle now. The character of the kind of softer formed rear end, all of this very nice, but the rear spoiler and the diffuser, the exhaust pipe, I think it makes a very nice expression. I love it, but I understand the feedback from customers that are still looking for the pipes. And it's something that has been coming back, you know. Exactly. Who would have expected? At first, you thought like, okay, we are seeing the end of the exhaust pipes, but that hasn't come true.
It's becoming such a selling point. On the BMW side of things, people complained for a while that non-M cars are getting 4 pipes. And now I keep telling them that's a good thing, because you have pipes. Most of the cars don't have pipes, so I'll take as many as possible, you know. So that's a very, very good point. When it comes to customizations and all of that, is there any feedback you've seen there? Because, you know, we've also talked about this a little bit before the interview, that the range seems to be a little bit more limited than before. Is that something that you feel like MINI customers want to have more, like more things to customize, to design, to make it their own, basically?
It's a very good point. MINI is a brand that is all about customization and making the car personal. We've launched this portfolio, and we have Still a limited number of options, which we are constantly expanding from this point out. So more exterior color choices, more accessorization possible. I believe it's something that we need to drive with MINI. MINI is a brand that people want to, where they want to make the car their own, their personal companion. With that, we will expand the number of choices you have to personalize the car. And that is also speaking for these different expressions that I mentioned before, character. When you want a more racy character, you want to maybe play around with spoilers, with rims, with certain aerodynamic accessories. And when you want to make it more heritage, more kind of British, you want different bonnet stripes options and so on. So maybe a livery. So definitely a big topic for us. Also very important, and it always has been very successful for MINI, is the topic of editions. And here in Shanghai already you see cars that have been configured specifically for this market because we feel the customer here loves it. When you look at the Aceman over there with the white bonnet stripes and the white roof and a certain kind of British expression on the side of the car, I think here we want to do a lot more. We want to offer a lot more limited editions as well. Cars that are only available for a certain number of months, maybe a couple of years, and then they go away again. I think this is something that also speaks to owning something special that no one else has.
So speaking of customization, we can walk to the JO1 Cooper Electric because it's something that I saw yesterday. I haven't had a chance to actually see this, but speaking of customization, you have this roof which starts as red and then it blends into this, fades into black. And I find this fascinating and really cool looking, honestly. So is this something that you think people want more and more, like being able to even customize the roof to that extent?
Absolutely, yeah. I think in the past, obviously, we had the Union Jack roof and we've had different options of striping. And, this spray tech is a new innovation that I feel very strongly about. It's available also in blue and white, transition or gradient. And I feel it speaks very well to the John Cooper Works character of the car. So it's definitely something we want to do more of, especially in exterior paint. There's so much innovation and so much newness. You see also other products here at the show, how companies are starting to play with exterior paint. And this is something we definitely want to explore further with MINI.
So JCW, it's been known for combustion power cars, right? ICE cars and all of that. How difficult is it as a designer to translate that JCW DNA onto an electric car as far as design? Are there any elements that you would pay attention to make it more JCW regardless of the drivetrain?
Well, before the design, I have to say it's about the driving of the car and how it performs as an electric car. And I feel I've driven now the John Cooper Works electric models, and actually the battery and the architecture lends itself low center of gravity, kind of, slightly heavier, obviously, but it still drives like a MINI. And this is what our engineering teams are developing into the electric cars, that they really still behave like a MINI. And sometimes also misbehave a little bit like a MINI. People love that about the car. And the acceleration and everything has to be very typical. So I think, and I believe we were very successful in translating that go-kart feel also to the electrification side of MINI. However, as you know, with BMW Group, it's all about choice and giving that to the customer. The option of choosing ICE over electric, it really depends on looking at your lifestyle. If you drive shorter distances, the electric version is the better package, really. If you want to take it for slightly longer distances, or if you want to take it on a longer drive on the weekend, the ICE version is still perfect. I think from a design point of view, the two cars are very similar. But obviously, small details to point out and maybe not visible to the average person right away. The electric version of the MINI is the first car that comes away without spats. I don't know if that is visible here on the white car, especially. You see that generally I think it's an even more cleaner statement, I would say, with less of that kind of pronunciation of the wheel arches and so on. It's overall, from headlights to kind of the side signature of the car, it's an even cleaner character, I would say, for a car.
Would you say it's more of a playful design than the ICE version?
Yeah, you know, playfulness was always in the kind of in the expression, in the character description of Mini. But I think we are getting away from it a little bit, and we do that successfully. It's a car that also wants to be taken seriously, also as the E version. So it's not a toy at all. And also in its expression, I think the cleanliness in the exterior and also the simplicity, the cleanliness on the interior is not so much about playfulness anymore. It's still about having fun and recognizing what we call little surprises that a Mini has to bring all the time. You find that in the OLED display, you find it in the user interface, you find it in the exterior design. But I wouldn't describe it as playful anymore. That was a bit more visible in Mini's past.
Talking about recognizable things from far away, when you look at the 24 hours of Nürburgring at night, you definitely see this car and you know exactly what it is. And you've just announced a new version of the Bulldog Racing, which looks fantastic. But what's the future like for Mini racing? Like, do you think there is a future there?
I think it has to. And yeah, it's a very interesting topic to me because obviously with this car and the car above, there is a certain character that I would describe as also the vintage side to the brand, you know. With so many new car brands here in Shanghai, you know, to me, it's very important that we celebrate where we are coming from. And, you know, Mini has such a rich history and many customers, they connect Mini to the race past of it. So Mini was always racing, and like you said, it's a very exciting announcement that we made here in Shanghai, that we teamed up with Deus y Machina as a lifestyle brand for the next Bulldog Racing team, Nürburgring 2025. And I can spill the beans a little bit. This is just the beginning of this relationship. We have some very exciting other projects that we're currently doing with Deus. It's a very good fit. And, you know, also Bulldog and Deus y Machina Mini, I'm looking for authenticity in these collaborations. And I think we have a very good fit here, kind of the racing heritage, the interest in racing with Deus as a brand, Bulldog, you know, I think it comes together quite nicely.
Gotcha. So speaking of being authentic, you know, I recall my time with the Mini Buggy Dakar Rally. I think it was in South America a few years ago. It was such an exciting project, honestly. I've seen the car being taken apart, put it all together. It was so cool to see that. Is there still something for Mini in the rally world?
In the rally world? Yeah, I think it's something, well, if you ask
Rugged,
me personally...
you know, rally, all of that.
Yes. Yeah, if you ask me personally, that's exactly the area I want to get back to, because that's kind of pure racing. And
it goes back
racing,
to the
yes,
50s, 60s of Mini,
racing
basically.
in its essence. So yeah, again, I think with the JCW products here, we also have a portfolio that kind of enters a little more into the rugged terrain of expression, kind of the outdoor, the kind of the gravel road aesthetics, and I like to explore that more for Mini. So kind of the original Cooper had that, especially Novi tires and so on, and I think Mini as a brand can take that, so get deeper into.
Okay, so then I'm going to end with this question. I feel like Mini's got a strong portfolio right now, but I always felt like there is something missing. There was always something that could have been done to expand the brand into new segments, new territory, new customers. And I'll give you a specific example, or two of them. MINI Rocketman, which kind of ties into the whole rugged thing, which was fantastic. And then the second one, the Mini Concept, that was a convertible one that was showed at the Villa d'Este, which was not even like Mini looking, it was fantastic, like a one-off, few units. Is that something that, you know, you could replicate, or you could take from the BMW group, which they're starting to do more and more of that to expand the brand? And if that's not, how do you expand the brand in other ways?
Yeah. It sounds like an easy question. It is not such an easy question, because obviously a lot of that is dependent on the platforms you have available, the architecture you have available. Certainly, you know, it's not the first time I'm hearing the question, and kind of what happened to Rocketman and so on. I think, you know, also even Clubman with the barn door in the back, you know, there are things in Mini's past that I would say that we haven't put them away forever, but it also gives some, you know, possibility and opportunity to Mini to kind of, you know, bring back maybe the same way as we've done with this portfolio, infuse modernity and kind of take the brand forward into the future without going back to history and doing something again. But we have so many good reference points with MINI in the history, in the past. I'd like I said, to explore vintage a bit more as a style, as an expression. And yeah, certainly there are some cars that would fit very well under the MINI umbrella. If we can marry it to the right platform and the right architecture, I think, yeah, that can be successful.
I mean, that vintage angle, it's absolutely right, because that Villa d'Este concept was all about that retro vintage look. It was looking very modern. If you look at their car today, if you put it like on the road, it still looks so fresh, so into the future. And it's, what, 10 years old by now, probably?
Yes.
And that was such a fantastic car. I think Anders Warming did that one, I think. Yeah, so that's what I was kind of hinting at. But yeah, well, thank you so much. Looking forward to seeing more things, this year, next year. Maybe we'll reconnect on talking about new products or other things coming up. But I appreciate the time here, and welcome to MINI, and let's see what the future brings.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for the interview.
Guys, thank you for watching. We'll see you soon with more MINI content.